Hi there, Mariette Martinez here, and I wanted to share a special video of one of the lessons I teach in my full financial empowerment and education course called Tax Ready Books. This course is to educate and activate the small business owner to build out a beautifully aligned bookkeeping system, and then to leverage technology to do this work smarter and faster and manage their finances year-round. One of the most popular lessons in the course is the one where we go ahead and take the business from beginning to end, going through the entire year-end readiness process using the year-end readiness stage 1 and stage 2. What I'd like to do is I'd like to give you a glimpse of one of our lessons when we take our business owner through a session alongside their collaborative partner. This lesson gets a lot of popularity from my community members because this is their opportunity to make sure they are ready to connect with their accounting partner, and also that they have been provided the service from their accounting partner to truly be ready for tax time. So let me go ahead and share with you a glimpse of what it's like to go through the entire audit proofing of your books all the way to building out your books to taxes year-end work paper, so that way you feel super confident to begin the preparation of your taxes. Again, we're going to use stage 1 as our starting point and then move down the list. And we're going to also confirm that there are bookmarks on the Intuit QuickBooks Online left-hand navigation menu that will help us and guide us through this session as well. So let's get into QuickBooks and experience this meeting with a business owner and their accounting partner. We are back in QuickBooks, and this time I am Maria's accounting partner. So I'm going to bring up her file using my QuickBooks Online accountant dashboard. As I shared in a previous video, QuickBooks Online has the opportunity for a user, that's the business owner, and the accounting partner, that's her bookkeeper or accounting professional, can both be in the same file. However, a user is using their QuickBooks user data file, where an accounting partner is using what's called QuickBooks Online Accountant. You know it's QuickBooks Online Accountant because it says QB Accountant. So we're going to go ahead and use my dashboard to do this review alongside Maria. Now, what's important is that I want Maria to feel completely aligned with what she's looking at. So before we even get started, I may go ahead and make sure that her bookmarks area and her menu bar look like mine. So that way, when we're done with this meeting, she'll know exactly what to do next. So we may take a few minutes to make sure that both my bookmarks bar and hers is aligned, and then we'll move on. I have a few questions for Maria before we get started. As an accounting partner, I want to make sure that she's ready for this appointment. So first, I'm going to ask her if she's reviewed her chart of accounts and if she feels comfortable with everything that is currently in her accounts. In the case of Maria, she has done some great work in her chart of accounts, so then we can move on. Next, I'm going to ask Maria if she has imported and categorized all transactions related to the tax year that we're working on. For example, if we're working on calendar year 2024 all the way through the end of 2024, which is December 31st, 2024, then I would want to make sure that when I am looking at her bank transactions and I click either on a checking account or possibly a credit card, I would not want to see any transactions related to 2024. If I see transactions for 2025, that would be acceptable because she may still have to categorize some 2025 transactions depending on when we are meeting. But I wouldn't want to see transactions related to 2024. In the case of Maria, she is completely up to date before we met, so she has no transactions in her operations account or her credit card account to categorize, which means she is completely up to date with her banking and credit card transactions. That makes me, her accounting partner, feel very confident that she is on top of her categorization and we can move on. The next question I'm going to have for Maria is, has she reconciled her accounts? So you've learned the power of reconciliation and have learned that this is one of the key features in QuickBooks Online and other accounting solutions to confirm that everything has posted from the bank or credit card into the accounting solution. And you can prove that by clicking on reconciliation, clicking on history by account, and then selecting each account one by one to see the last time it was reconciled. For the example of Chase account, her operations account, it looks like she reconciled on January 16th for the 12/31/2024 statement, and it has an ending balance that should match her bank statement. When I see this link here, this looks like Maria even downloaded and updated her bank statement, which is her December 31st, 2024 bank statement. That confirms the $198.85 balance. So this proves to me that Maria has been reconciling her accounts. I can also select her credit card by scrolling down and finding her credit card. And again, this has been reconciled. And she even attached a credit card statement as well to prove the balance of that credit card. So this makes me feel very comfortable with Maria and the fact that she has been applying all of her financial literacy that she said she learned in her Tax Ready Books program, and that she's been implementing all of these bookkeeping habits and banking habits into her accounting solution. So again, as an accounting partner, I am feeling very excited about moving forward. So now, as an accounting partner, knowing that she's reviewed her chart of accounts, that she's entered in and categorized all her bank transactions and reconciled, I know that she's following along the workflow that I had shared with her in regards to how to best create and build out her tax ready books, which means it's time for us to click on reports. Reports are where I'll be able to review her balance sheet, her profit and loss, and her statement of cash flows. And this is what we can do in that year-end readiness meeting. Let's start with her balance sheet. On her balance sheet, as an accounting partner, what I want to make sure that I can do alongside her is I want to continue the conversations that count. So we already learned, and we've been having these conversations that count throughout our year working together. And of course, in Tax Ready Books, we went deep into the conversations that count in Module 3. So what I really want to focus on now is I want to go down her balance sheet and I want to validate the information that's on here. So for example, I'm pulling up the balance sheet as of the end of the year, which is December 31st, 2024. And I, as the accounting partner, would ask questions like this. Maria, it looks like you have an accounts receivable of $2,850. Is that correct? Did you have $2,800 outstanding from your customers at the end of December 31st? She may respond, I think so, but how do I validate that? What I would do is pull up her accounts receivable aging summary report. I would make sure the period is as of last year because that's what we're discussing. And there is that $2,850. And I tell her, it looks like you had two outstanding balances as of the end of last year from Wendy and from Yvette. And that's the $2,800. The reason why this is really important is because if these are outstanding on her balance sheet, it also means that when we report her numbers on the cash basis on her tax return, it's going to reflect that this income is not part of her income for 2024. It's actually going to be income for 2025 when these invoices are paid out. So the reason why I want to make sure that Maria and I are on the same page is because when this question arises, sometimes a business owner would say, I don't have any outstanding balances. All my customers pay me on time, and I don't have accounts receivables at the end of the year. That's why we would go into this conversation and validate if this accounts receivable is correct. Then I'd move back to the balance sheet again, and I'd continue down the list. I'd ask her questions about her fixed assets. I'd ask her questions about her accounts payable and if she did owe a vendor a balance at the end of the year. And of course, we know that her Chase Visa is correct because she's reconciling it. And I would continue down. I'd confirm that she does have an SBA loan of $1,000. And I would also congratulate her for having such a beautiful equity section where she's separated her contributions and her distributions. It looks super clean, and so it's very obvious that Maria has been doing some work on her books. After we reviewed the balance sheet, we'd move on to the profit and loss. On the profit and loss statement, I would do the same top-down approach. I'd come and go line by line and ask Maria if she feels confident based on what she's seeing here. Again, it looks like she's done some great work into separating the different revenue items that she has, and she's even created some hierarchies here. Again, I'm going to scroll down and continue to have those conversations with Maria. And more importantly, I'm going to ask Maria if she has any questions around her financial statements as well. For example, I noticed that she put in here depreciation expense. So as her accounting partner, I would ask Maria if she is receiving a depreciation schedule from her tax professional, and is that how she was able to calculate that number? If not, we can do what's called a drill down, where I can click on the number and I can get an explanation on how this was created. And the drill down approach can happen on any account. For example, let's say Maria and I want to understand what's included in this $2,449 of website design. She feels that's a little bit too high considering she just started her business this year. We can double click on that account and then she can see the different transactions that are part of that account. And that's when she says, oh, Mariette, Geraldo is actually not my web designer. Geraldo is one of my contractors on the virtual assistant side. In that case, we would want to go ahead and reclassify this information because these Geraldo amounts are actually in the wrong account. That's why we would go ahead and do that drill down approach. Again, we are following along based on that stage one and doing that deep dive of her financial statements. And that's how she completes stage one, which is confirming her accounts reconciliations, doing a detailed line-by-line review, and possibly even drilling down on some of her accounts to confirm that she's completely confident with the balance sheet and profit and loss to move forward with building out her ultimate year-end work paper, which is the Books to Taxes year-end work paper. So let's help Maria build out her Books to Tax work paper. So what Maria will do first, after she's done a final review of her balance sheet and her profit and loss, is she will export both the balance sheet and the profit and loss based on the correct accounting period. So now we want to pull up the accounting method of cash for her balance sheet, and we populate a profit and loss with the cash accounting method, and we confirm that both the balance sheet has the same time frame and same accounting method that the profit and loss has, which in this case is January through December 2024 cash method. Knowing that this is correct, we can now move into exporting the files. On the balance sheet, you'll click on the icon that says export to Excel, and you're exporting to Excel. You'll move over to your profit and loss, and you'll also click on the icon that says export to Excel, and you'll also export that to Excel. So there'll actually be two separate files. The first file, which is the balance sheet, will be the file that you'll go ahead and save as your work paper. So let's call this one Her Biz Master VA 2024 year-end work paper. Now that we know that the balance sheet is part of this work paper, we just need to bring over the profit and loss. So we're going to open the profit and loss that downloaded, and always make sure with Excel that you enable editing so that way you can have access to the data. You'll click on copy of the data, Control C. You'll move back to your balance sheet and you will paste it right in. And the last thing you'll do is just title this profit loss. And now you have your work paper where you're going to go ahead and add your columns as you learned in the year-end readiness process. And you're going to build out your ultimate year-end work paper that will eventually be your source document that proves the numbers that are on your tax return. And that's the full Tax Ready Books journey, including preparing your ultimate year-end work paper. And that, my friend, is how you complete your year-round accounting tasks with a 3-step Tax Ready Books framework, which is the small business accounting workflow framework, and then leverage technology to do this faster and smarter. And of course, always paving that clear path to a seamless year-end process. And that, my friends, is just a sneak peek of one of the many lessons where our learners and community members at Master Your Books become completely financially literate, empowered, and ready to not only build their beautiful bookkeeping system year-round, but feel confident to create that collaborative relationship with their accounting partner. If you want to learn more, check out the link below where you can see everything this course has to offer. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you in one of our courses soon.